Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Jazzy of Video Store Sasquatch here, and we are doing a horror movie Night in the Cave review type deal here. But I'm just going to tell you how this movie could have been better. Um, I'm telling you, this is the hardest part about watching horror movies. It's like you just keep stumbling upon these type of movies, and like it's so frustrating because you're like, man, this is an all right, decent premise, but it didn't hit whatever you were looking for out of the premise, and like there's just like little minor things they could change, probably make a lot better movie. These are all like movies I would have failed, but that's not important here. The newest one we're going to talk about first is Boneface, directed by Michael Donovan Horn, starring Alina Sanchez, Jeremy London, Ali Hart, Miles Doliak. When a mass killer slaughters several campers in a small town, a sheriff and deputy track the murderer to a local diner where, using their investigative skills, they must discover which person in the diner is the actual killer. Oh, this is the definition of a B movie. I mean, it's almost a C movie. Jeremy London, unfortunately, has the unfortunate task of being in two of these movies I'm going to talk about here. This one, the first one, is Boneface. So this is where we're going to start here. He is the sheriff. That was the first thing I changed. I'm not going to tell you who the actual killer was because it is a whodunit, but I'm going to tell you one of the people that it's not, and it should have been, and there's a lot of red herrings for it, and that is the sheriff. And I think it would have been a better story, and we could have got more in depth into it. Two, what I would have changed is instead of the first like 10 minutes, we get the summer camp murders, and then we move on to the diner, and then we're just kind of confused while we're at the diner for a little bit. I would draw out that summer camp stuff, show the killer getting into the diner, and maybe have that be an hour of the movie instead of 10 minutes, and then instead of an hour of kind of like lame dialogue and like who done it type references like this, maybe have flashbacks to the time where we were at and stuff like this, just to change it up a little bit and make it just a little bit more interesting, and then it kind of would make it a little bit more stylish too while we're doing that, because we're going to be showing scene after scene after scene, and eventually leading to the killer being the sheriff, or at least one of the killers being the sheriff. We can still do the original killers there, and then we can like show how all that happened and like a quick recap, and then we move on to the ending, because this movie's just so slow, because it's like an hour of them interrogating this group of patrons at a restaurant. They really just don't need to be interrogating, and it is kind of bothersome. It is like basically the downfall of the movie and why it failed. I failed this movie. I mean, it had no, I mean, like a lot of it, I mean, it had no money to it, but we're not trying to say, hey, let's add $10 million to the budgets of these movies. We're trying to actually like help the story here, and I think that that would help the story is like have some flashbacks of, okay, well, this is when this person died. We know this because of this and this and this, and then we could have seen where each person was and stuff like that, and or maybe each person's night too. Just kind of switch it up because it was kind of long to have an hour, about hour I clocked it at of them like interrogating the suspects, and like one suspect dies, and it's very 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 slow for that reasoning, and that's why I would change it up here. um and that was the main part I would change about it. I don't even think that even, I mean, we're not gonna get like the best acting, and we're not gonna get the best stuff like this, but I think we edit it out, we get at least a pretty decent B movie out of it. Maybe one that would have hit the streamers running instead of, I think this is going to kind of hit the streamers just die. Um, we'll see. And that was Boneface, directed by Michael Donovan Horn. And the second one we're going to talk about here is The Bayou, directed by Tanili Mustanin and Brad Watson, starring Athena Straits, Madeline Arago, Alicia Applebaum, Mohammed Mansouri. Vacation turned disaster when Houston grad Kyle and her friends escape a plane crash in desolate Louisiana Everglades, only to discover there's something way more dangerous lurking in the shallows. This movie, really poor execution with a great premise, and like this, the whole part of this is why we're doing this. They have all these killer alligators going after this group of people. I think we could have like narrowed it down to like two or three alligators, and then just had like the damage done there. I mean, we have a bones for a solid movie here. This, well, honestly, put probably $1 million more into it and switch out actresses here and actresses there to get some maybe like new and up and comers and some people there, it actually probably would have been a better movie than it was. But we're trying to like change the story here, so I would go with like not so much drama behind Kyle. I'd have it a lot more like a friendly thing like that. Maybe even make it to where um, it's like a sorority house going and stuff like that. Maybe more females involved. Which I mean, there was already like three or four, but we could do like five or six of those instead of like adding on to the group. The whole group could have been like sorority girls with the pilot and then owner of the plane. And then instead of having like I mean, you could keep the backstory for Kyle if you wanted to, and that's fine because we do get like flashbacks and we see like how like her what happened between her brother and like how she died in front of her, and it was really kind of like a choice that she could have made that like could have saved him to type deal, like to basically outsiders that were involved in the situation. But when you actually see what was going on, you see that he clearly made the free choice of what he was doing and what to do what he did. Um, and then like we get that as kind of like a reason why should we follow the leader here when she's like an expert on like wildlife and predators and stuff like this, especially the alligators and like we could kind of get rid of all that because like and just have her as like a sorority girl, keep her as like a little expert, like she knows what they're talking about with alligators and stuff like that. We see that the alligators get into the drugs. We know that that's what kind of makes them more aggressive here. Like I said, a group of three of alligators against like 8 humans would have been like way better, but it was like a ton of alligators. They're all drugged out. I mean, it's fine the way it was. Like I said, if it had more money involved in it, better acting, probably would have been a little bit better movie than it was. I'm just trying to add to it, trying to add different little things to it to like kind of move it. But um, this movie basically just needed uh, just a just a little bit more like forethought and planning and like a little bit less like I feel like they're like, oh, let's make a movie. This is our group. We could have like maybe thought about the actors and actresses because there are people. There's plenty of horror movies with not known people or people that are rising up and they're just as good as they could have been. It's just a lot of poor acting, and that's what kind of hurt this movie. And that was the Bayou, directed by Tanili Mustanen and Brad Watson. And finally, here we have Hunt Club, directed by Elizabeth Blake Thomas, starring Mina Savuri, Casper Van Dien, Will Peltz, Maya Stoyan. Follows a group of male hunters who regularly lure women to their island with a chance to win 100K in the hunt, only to discover they are to be hunted. But this time they mess with the wrong girls and must deal with the consequences. Jeremy and Jason London play twins in this because they are twins in real life, but they play twins in this that are kind of like um, very evil people. And then Mickey Rourke is in this as well. So I mean, think about Mina Saveri. That's all. I think did she win Oscar for I don't know if she won, but she was involved with American Beauty. That's Oscar winning movie. Casper Van Dien from Stormtrooper, not from Stormtroopers, but from the Alien movie. What was that movie called? And then Mickey Rourke, man, Jeremy and Jason London. We both know who that is. If you guys don't know who Jeremy and Jason London is, basically back in the day, they were in a bunch of like movies, like stoner movies. The biggest one would have been Dazed and Confused. I forget which one is in it, or they might have both been in it, but I forget which one is which. And then also they both ran for a time on Seventh Heaven as well. Um, this is actually like as much as I failed it, like this is the best movie of the three. I mean, and then its quality is because Casper Van Dien, they have some actors and people that which try to help it. A little bit of comedy to it, a little bit of like, oh, I believe that alpha males would do this type of deal with the storyline of like we are alpha males and that stuff. So we keep all that. The big thing that I would change is I would have Casper Van Dien as a hunter instead of the owner, and then I'd have Mickey work that, and then I'd have another padded guy in between that, and then you can make it to where like yeah, Casper Van Dien's hunting. He's been doing this a couple times, and he's involved with it, but with the sun and stuff like that is kind of where it kind of like all drags around. It kind of becomes like just like basic kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Where we could have did that. We could have did a couple more flashbacks because the females knew that what was going on and where it was going on. They were actually looking to be hunted. So maybe show some more flashbacks about that and how to discover it and stuff like that. So we're more in on that instead of it more being a surprise towards the end. That would be a good idea. Um, I mean, you're really gonna fine tune this movie, and you're probably only gonna get it to be a C movie. But that's fine because you could have a really cool practical deaths, which I always help compared to like the computer animated deaths. Like I mean, with like traps with the deaths, you know what I mean? Or arrows, bows and arrows, or or old school hunting schools. Like we could actually like look up stuff that hunters used back in the day to kind of hunt game, and then we could use involve those too. Um, I would have made it less like three people in a shot, and you're kind of condensing shots, and I'd widen it out a little bit too. I'd get rid of some of the filters that they had, some of the coloring they had, and kind of make it more real. I think it'd give it a better edge effect. I do like that some of it, the coloring and style adds to the comedy, so I don't know how much I take away from it, just because I do want some of the comedy there because like this is like some serious stuff that we're talking about here. So I think the comedy would kind of help with the audience, especially a dark comedy, especially once we kind of realize that the women are more in control than we think they are. And like I said, we could keep Mina Severn. She's actually pretty good in this. Maya Stoyan's actually pretty good in this. And Jeremy and Jason London perfect in this. Mickey Rourke is just kind of funny to watch him in it. Casper Van Dien's the only kind of outliner. He could have just been a different part, and I think it would have been a little bit more decent movie. That's just me kind of being that guy, though. So now I was Hunt Club, directed by Elizabeth Blake Thomas. And yeah, I mean, these are all fun. Let me know what you guys think if you've seen them, or maybe like name a couple of movies that are bad that you know that you could like maybe make one or two tweaks. Kind of like the first one is kind of the best one we kind of did there, where we're just kind of like we're just gonna kind of make this movie a little bit different than it was instead of just like kind of fine tuning a movie like we did with Hunt Club and the Bayou. But comments to me about any movie that you know about that, or if you've seen these movies, what you think about what the changes I would make or what changes you would make. And please like and subscribe, and have a good rest of your day or night, guys.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Comment your top movie picks for Throwback Thursday in the comment section. And see you next time in the cave.